Emma and Daniel met during their first year of college, drawn to each other like magnets from the very start. Emma, bright and ambitious, had dreams of becoming a journalist, while Daniel, warm-hearted and thoughtful, was working toward a career in architecture. Their connection felt effortless, as if they had known each other forever. Late-night walks across campus, endless conversations about their hopes and fears, and quiet moments of simply being together built a bond that neither of them had ever experienced before. For 2 years, their relationship blossomed. They supported each other through exams, family struggles, and personal doubts. Friends often remarked that Emma and Daniel were the perfect couple, destined to be together. But life, as it often does, had other plans. When Emma's family decided to move abroad and urged her to follow, the pressure mounted. Her parents disapproved of Daniel, believing he couldn't offer the stability they wanted for their daughter. At the same time, Daniel faced his own crisis. His father's illness forced him to leave school and return home to manage family responsibilities. Despite their deep love, the weight of distance, expectations, and uncertainty became too much to bear. Tearfully, Emma and Daniel made the heartbreaking decision to part ways, promising to always remember each other but unsure if their paths would ever cross again. As they said goodbye, there was an unspoken hope that somehow, someday, their story wouldn't end there. Little did they know, the love they shared would linger quietly in the corners of their hearts, waiting for a second chance. After their painful goodbye, Emma threw herself into her new life abroad. She settled in London, where she pursued her dream of becoming a journalist with fierce determination. Days were long and nights were often lonely, but Emma kept her heart guarded, telling herself that focusing on her career was the right path. She built a reputation as a talented reporter, earning promotions and accolades, but deep down something always felt incomplete. Daniel, meanwhile, returned to his quiet hometown to care for his ailing father and help run the family's small construction business. Though he had set aside his own dreams, he worked hard and became a pillar of the community. Friends and neighbors admired his loyalty and kindness, but behind his gentle smile was a lingering sadness that never fully faded. Over the years, both Emma and Daniel tried to move on. Emma dated a few people, even coming close to settling down once, but no relationship lasted. Daniel also had brief romances, yet he always found himself comparing them to the love he had lost. Neither of them spoke of each other, but ever so often, a song, a scent, or a familiar place would stir old memories they couldn't quite escape. Despite the miles between them and the years that passed, their hearts still quietly carried the imprint of what once was, a love neither time nor distance could fully erase. One rainy afternoon, while Emma was cleaning out her apartment, she stumbled upon an old, dusty box tucked away in the back of her closet. Curiosity tugged at her as she opened it, revealing a stack of letters, ticket stubs, and photos from her college days. Among them was a picture of her and Daniel, arms wrapped around each other, laughing beneath a tree in full bloom. The sight of it hit her like a wave. Memories she had buried for so long came rushing back with surprising force. She sat down, holding the photo tightly, and let herself feel the ache she had tried to forget. Questions filled her mind. Where was Daniel now? Was he happy? Did he ever think of her? At the same time, miles away, Daniel was catching up with an old college friend over coffee. As they reminisced about the past, Emma's name came up. His friend casually mentioned seeing Emma's byline in a major newspaper, sparking something deep inside Daniel, a mix of pride, regret, and a longing he thought had faded. That night, neither Emma nor Daniel could sleep. Both lay awake, staring at their ceilings, lost in thoughts of what might have been. They had moved forward in life, but the echoes of their shared past now stirred something new, a quiet wondering if their story was truly over, or if fate had more in store for them. A few weeks later, fate stepped in when Emma was invited to cover a charity gala for her newspaper, a high-profile event held in the very town where Daniel lived. She hesitated at first, unsure if she was ready to return to the place that held so many memories, but her professional instincts took over, and she accepted the assignment. The night of the gala, Emma arrived dressed in an elegant navy gown, her press badge clipped discreetly to her purse. She moved through the room, snapping photos and interviewing guests, her heart pounding a little harder than usual. Part of her hoped she might see Daniel. Part of her dreaded it. Daniel, meanwhile, had been invited by a client who was sponsoring the event. He wasn't one for formal parties, but out of courtesy he agreed to attend. He wandered through the ballroom, making polite conversation, unaware that his past was about to walk right back into his life. Their eyes met across the room, a fleeting moment of shock and disbelief, as if time itself had paused. For a second, neither moved. Then, slowly, almost cautiously, Daniel made his way toward her. Emma's breath caught in her throat, her hands trembling slightly as she set down her camera. "Emma," Daniel said softly, his voice a little huskier than she remembered. "Daniel," she replied, her eyes shining with a mix of surprise and something deeper. They stood there, awkward but unable to look away, the hum of conversation around them fading into the background. After a moment, Daniel smiled. A familiar, gentle smile that unlocked 1,000 memories. "It's been a long time," he said. "Yes," Emma answered, her heart racing. "A very long time." And just like that, the walls built over years of distance and silence began to crack, letting in the first fragile rays of something neither of them dared name yet. Hope. In the days following their unexpected reunion, Emma and Daniel couldn't stop thinking about each other. That brief encounter had stirred up so many emotions, nostalgia, curiosity, and a deep, lingering affection they had both tried to bury. It wasn't long before Daniel mustered the courage to reach out. He sent Emma a simple message. "Would you like to meet for coffee before you head back?" Emma hesitated at first, unsure if reopening old wounds was wise. But her heart answered before her mind could stop it. "I'd love to." They met at a quiet cafe tucked away on a side street, far from the glitz of the gala. Sitting across from each other, it felt strangely familiar, as if no time had passed at all. Their conversation began with the usual catch-up, work, family, mutual friends. But soon, deeper topics surfaced. They spoke about the choices that had shaped their lives, the struggles they'd faced, and the dreams they still held on to. There were moments of silence, too, not uncomfortable, but thoughtful, pauses where their eyes met and said things words couldn't express. Old feelings, once dormant, began to stir again, this time tinged with the wisdom and weariness of all they had been through. As they parted that evening, Daniel hesitated, then gently took Emma's hand. "I didn't realize how much I missed you," he said quietly. Emma's eyes softened. "Me too," she whispered, her fingers lingering in his. Neither of them knew exactly what lay ahead, but it was clear that the door they thought was closed had swung open once more, offering them a second chance neither had expected. As Emma's assignment wrapped up, she found herself lingering in town longer than planned. She and Daniel continued to meet, sometimes for long walks, sometimes over dinner, sometimes just to sit quietly together. Each meeting deepened their bond, but it also brought the past back into sharp focus. One evening, as they strolled along the riverbank under a sky streaked with fading sunlight, Emma finally broke the silence. "Daniel," she began, "we keep picking up where we left off, but we've never really talked about why we fell apart." Daniel sighed, his eyes distant. "I've thought about it a lot over the years. The truth is, we let other people's expectations control us. I let my family's problems consume me, and you were under so much pressure from yours." Emma nodded, her voice trembling. "I was scared. I thought if I fought too hard for us, I'd lose everything else. But walking away from you, that was the hardest thing I've ever done." They sat down on a bench, the weight of their shared history pressing between them. "Do you think," Daniel asked quietly, "if we had tried harder, we could have made it?" Emma looked at him, her eyes glistening. "I don't know. Maybe we weren't ready back then, but I do know that I never stopped caring about you." Daniel reached for her hand, gripping it firmly. "Neither did I." In that vulnerable moment, they laid bare their regrets and fears, but also something deeper, a longing for healing and a hope that what they'd lost could be found again. Their honesty became a turning point, a way to finally make peace with their past and look toward a future that might still be waiting. In the weeks that followed their heart-to-heart, something shifted between Emma and Daniel. The heaviness that had once weighed down their connection seemed to lift, replaced by a quiet, growing certainty. They no longer tiptoed around their feelings or buried the past under polite conversation. Instead, they embraced their second chance fully, with eyes wide open. They spent more time together, this time without fear or hesitation. Whether sharing simple breakfasts, exploring old haunts from their college days, or dreaming out loud about the future, everything felt new yet comfortingly familiar. It was as if they had been given a clean slate, but one etched with the lessons of experience. Daniel surprised Emma one evening with a handmade gift, a small wooden box, beautifully carved, symbolizing a fresh start. Inside was a note that read, "No more lost time. Let's build something lasting." Emma's eyes filled with tears, touched by the sincerity and love behind his gesture. Emma, too, made her feelings clear. She canceled her next overseas assignment, choosing instead to stay close. A decision that once would have terrified her. "I don't want to live with more regrets," she told Daniel. "This time I choose us as partners building a hopeful future." Their love, once lost and battered, now stood strong, rebuilt on a foundation of honesty, forgiveness, and a deeper understanding of what truly mattered. Months passed, and Emma and Daniel's renewed relationship blossomed with a strength neither of them had imagined. Friends and family who had once doubted their love now saw the difference. This wasn't the hurried romance of their youth, but something deeper, forged through time, trials, and growth. As they danced under the stars that night, Emma looked up at Daniel and smiled. "All those years apart," she said softly, "and yet we found love again, stronger, wiser, and forever." Daniel kissed her forehead gently. "Forever," he agreed, holding her close as they stepped into the next chapter of their journey. Together at last, and stronger than ever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Your support helps us bring you even more touching stories about love, family, and second chances. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. We've got many more heartfelt tales coming your way. Whether it's the next part of this story or new stories that inspire and move you, we're here to keep sharing what matters most. Join our growing community today and be part of every beautiful chapter. Thanks for watching and supporting our journey.